Welcome to this edition of our video blog. Today we are going to talk about the social business plan, and we're going to talk about it in pretty great detail, so grab a cup of coffee and get ready to learn. My name is Margaret Brown. I am the founder of SocializeLA.com, and I want to clarify why I talk about the social business plan versus a social media strategy or online strategy. And about 3 years ago, I realized that what we were doing for our clients went far beyond social media. And with that, I wrote the Social Business Plan Workbook, which I've made available on Amazon and on our website, so people can make sure that they have all the components that they need to create a profitable online presence with their social business plan. So today we're going to break that out, and I am very glad to have you here with me today. I want to start out by saying that it's 2016, and it's important that every brand, every company, no matter what size, realizes the importance of having some online representation. And not every social business plan looks the same for every company, but there's definitely a place for every company of every size, of every industry. I want you to not feel like you have to take a million notes, because I am going to make it available to you to download the resource checklist. So that might make it a little simpler for you rather than jotting down a bunch of notes. So no matter who you are, no matter where you are, please do not watch this blog and be overwhelmed. I want you to think, okay, sure, I do need to improve on that, or I've never thought about that, or I'm already doing that, and I want you to just move forward, because that's the winning attitude, okay? And we're here to help you and to be your guide. So let's go ahead and dive into these components. The first step in your social business plan is your foundation, and that is going to be to identify the people who will be involved in creating this plan. And that might be people who already exist on your team. You might want to hire someone, or you may want to bring in an agency, a third party, to help you create this plan. You'll want to decide how much time you're going to devote on this. If it's you, how much time you can devote. If it's going to be time split between a few different people. But these are things that you're going to want to think about, because this is the reality. And then what is your budget? What is going to be your budget for personnel, for software, and for advertising? Those are the three main categories. Next, we get started. So we have our people in place. We know who's going to be doing what, somewhat. We know how much time they're going to be devoting. And so now we're sitting around and we need to decide who is our target audience. And knowing the target audience is going to help you decide where you're going to spend your time online, which social media channels, how often will you do email marketing, how often will you blog, when will you publish press releases, and so on and so forth. That is the start. That is the first thing you will do. And remind yourself that you want to make sure that your team knows your voice and your brand. Those are very important components as we move on. Next is publishing. So I'm not saying that the next step is to go ahead and post something on Facebook, but talk about your publishing. Talk about how often, what you want to talk about. Industry news, community news, world news, whatever is going to be relevant to you. When you think about your publishing, consider publishing about 25% company related. Buy us, look how awesome we are, here's what we're doing, 25%. Consider another 50% education. Educate your consumer. Educate on your industry, on your product, and make it all about education and knowledge. And then lastly, the last 25%, make it fun, make it motivating. Talk about your community, talk about the things that are important to you. If you notice, that 75% is something other than sales and talking about your own company and how people can buy you and how amazing you are. You don't want to give them too much of that, because it's not interesting. So think about that. Your publishing will also require that you create some type of a calendar, an editorial calendar, an events calendar. That way you can have a content calendar that goes alongside with that. Next, you need to make a way to track your leads. Create your lead funnels, your calls to action. What do you want your audience to do? You know who your target audience is. What do you want them to do? Well, Margaret, we want them to buy from us. Well, sure, you want them to buy from you, and that is the ultimate. But you've got to have a funnel. What is the first thing? What's the second thing? What's the most ideal all the way to, that would be nice. It's not ideal, but it would be nice. Make at least 5 calls to action, 5 avenues, because people might not be ready to buy right now, but that doesn't mean that they won't buy. They may need to just vet you a little more, get to know you a little more. So you'll want and need to create lead generation channels. What is engagement? Okay, social media and the social business plan have something very much in common, and that is the social component. You must be social. You cannot expect for your online presence to be profitable if all you're doing is publishing and then waiting for people to come to you. You have to get out and talk to other people. Engagement is you on Twitter or Instagram going and liking photos from certain hashtags. You know, you always have a rhyme and a reason to what you're doing. You're not just getting out there and just doing something. That's why you have the social business plan. You'll create an engagement plan. Okay, we want to engage on these hashtags, and at least twice a week. That would be great. Awesome. Engage with people who are talking with you and about you. You can search for your name. You can have reminders and alerts when people are talking about you. You'll be notified when people mention you. Talk back to those people. Engage with them. Get on Facebook and engage as your company's page. There's so much to talk about when it comes to engagement, and if you can't tell, it is one of my most passionate online subjects is engagement. And we had a client who we've had for 5 years, and they loved what we've done for them, but last year they had something really phenomenal happen, and they had a potential client who did become their client. They reached out to this person because they said, hey, you're always liking our photos on Facebook and you're just so friendly, and we want you to bid on this project with us. Long story short, this was almost a $100,000 contract that my client got because he was made visible through the engagement that we were doing for him. And it's awesome. It's music to my ears. I love to see when all of this comes, when it comes into play and really is successful. Next, you want to cover your digital media tools. So that might be a software to create graphics or video. You'll want to have that in place so that way you are producing awesome images and video when you need it. Secondly, you'll need software to monitor what you're doing and options to post in the future, so to schedule. And there are tools that will do this, and all of these tools do not have to be costly, and so we will have those resources available for you as well. Next, you have tracking. Everything you do needs to follow some type of a plan, your social business plan, and you need to track it. And the first thing you'll want to track is your following. Is your following growing? Is your reach growing? Are people listening to your calls to action? Are they clicking the links? Are they engaging with you? Calculate your following month over month or week over week, and that's how you'll know if what you're doing is working. Something else that you'll want to track is the calls to action. Are people filling out your form? Are they downloading your PDF? That will also tell you what is working. Maybe you just need to tweak it a little bit. And remember, friends, if this doesn't work the day after you start implementing it, please do not give up. Some of this stuff you need to do for weeks, for months, and you will see the results. And I can't say how fast you will, because I don't know how much you're going to implement or how much time you're going to give to it. But what I can tell you is that you must be consistent. Consistency wins the game, okay? Lastly, I just want to run through this list of social business plan components. Your social media channels, your calls to action, that might be lead pages or email signups, your website, make sure your website's up to date, your blog once a month, your email marketing, send out an email once a month to your database, even if you're starting from a very small list. Just let people know what you're doing. There's all different types of email marketing that you can do, but maybe just start with a monthly digest and make it short and sweet, okay, with links and videos and images, and you don't want it to be 10 pages long. People aren't going to read that. Next, you want to make sure that you have a CRM in place, a customer relationship management system. So when you do get leads, you are putting them into some type of a system so you can follow up with them. That's when your sales team really will come in handy, because maybe they already are using a system, or maybe they've been wanting a system. So that's something to keep in mind. I want to remind you that your social business plan is your sales, your marketing, PR, customer service, all rolled into one. A successful social business plan will incorporate all of those things. Thank you for joining me today, and there are so many things that we can talk about. I could dive into every single one of these bullets, but for the sake of time and for the sake of topic, I am not going to do that. But please catch me on another video blog where we will dive in deeper into these topics. Please utilize the resource checklist. It's right below this video. And I have also given you a few different ways to maybe continue this conversation if you need to. So thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of the week.